What's this all about?
Well, Larry, you're standing at the largest chamber at America's Stonehenge. It's called the Oracle Chamber.
Okay.
And it's called that because of a square opening that runs from this chamber to the sacrificial table. It's called the Oracle Tube, or speaking tube.
Okay.
And this chamber, originally where you're standing, had a roof over it. It's missing today. We actually have photographs. It was all covered over with the roof.
Yeah.
If people were watching a ceremony on the table or a sacrifice or something, by standing up on a platform, we'll show you that later, by looking down, you don't even know this chamber's here. And this was all covered over originally, and we had the photographs going back. You go back around 1928, the town fathers put some of the stones in here and kind of ruined the roof. They wanted to keep kids from playing in here.
Right.
Because part of the ceiling was starting to fall down. By your feet is an underground drain. It runs out. It's just one of those mini drains we talk about. It's got a little few leaves in it right now.
Right.
On the other side of the chamber, we have another drain. So it has two drains on this, and there's actually a drain channeled through the bedrock where I'm standing.
Wow, it's kind of dark in here, huh?
Yeah, it doesn't have any artificial lighting.
Right.
It is dark in here. The roof over your head actually is made out of very, very large stones, as we mentioned before.
Right.
And on top of that is clay, and the clay seems to be like shingles. It never rains, it never leaks in here, even under the heaviest rain. It's never leaked. We do get humidity dripping in here, but the stones are put together very, very tightly above us. They interlock, like we were talking about in the pad area. One of those structures has two stone roofs that actually interlock.
Yep.
These do too. So it was very well built, and this is the original part of the structure. The entrance again had a roof over it, which is not there, but we have photographs of it. Again, it's north and south. We're walking towards the up towards the Oracle Tube,
Okay.
the speaking tube, and
Come on
I'm standing right in front of it. By my feet is a little step. They must have left this part of the bedrock here.
Yep.
A person of around 5.5 feet, or I'm about 5'8" almost. By standing here and yelling through this tube, it goes out it's about 6 to 8 feet long, and we get the actual measurement, but it goes out to the sacrificial table. A voice comes out underneath the table, and people standing above watching a ceremony would think that a spirit or God might be talking to them. It's kind of like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, sure.
But I've been to Delphi in Greece, and they had a similar thing. Malta had a similar thing too. They had these holes in the wall, and they would hear a voice. It would be probably a priest or somebody yelling, and people thought it was a spirit, God, or some sort of communicator. And it would probably keep people in line, a little bit scared, perhaps, kind of like what our politicians do. But down below,
I was going to say, it sounds like a politician.
Political thing, yeah, exactly. But down there below is like a hole in the wall, and it goes in about 8 feet, and it's a place where somebody could stay.
Yeah.
The other type of construction we were just in was vertical walls with big roof slabs. Here we have a little different style. They actually looks like an inverted staircase. It's almost like an arch, but the stones come out a little bit like a step.
Uh-huh.
And it's a way of bridging an area. And then they put these stones on top. And then the stones are stepped down, actually, like steps all the way down here, which is kind of cool. Where we're exiting right here, Larry, actually was a window.
Okay.
In the 1950s, when we opened this up, it was just a small little window here. It was partially damaged just from natural causes or people climbing out of it.
Right.
But it wasn't. It was more like a window facing the southeast, like the winter solstice direction, kind of sunrise. But they actually opened it up in the 50s, put a wooden staircase. By the 1980s, Dave Stewart Smith did it. They did an excavation here, and they replaced it with some of the stones that were here, made a little brand new staircase. So the staircase is about 30 years old. So this is not original. It was a window, and it was probably only exited and entered where we came in earlier. This is not part of the getting in and out of it. But for our public to flow through here, this works out great.
Okay.
But it was a window, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a nice, comfortable space. What is this all about?
Well, Larry is sitting on our sacrificial table.
What?
You're sitting on our sacrificial table, Larry. Were you volunteering?
No.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right. We'll have to check the laws on that. But this is a table. It's about 4.5 tons. It measures approximately 9 feet by about 6 feet at its widest point. And there's a groove on top of it. And this groove is rectangular, of course, and there's a little spout right here.
Okay.
And the spout runs off the rock, and down below, you can see where a little cutout in the bedrock is.
Right.
It's possibly that they set something in there to catch fluid. It could be used for ceremonial purposes. Some people have said it's an embalming table. It was a lye stone, an apple cider press, or a sacrificial table, you know. In churches today, they have altars, and kind of based on the ancient sacrificial altars, I guess. But this could have been used for that. Now, there are other tables in New England, and there are some in Europe. And there's one in Europe that they took a picture of in Portugal, and it looks a lot like this. A little bit more of a maple leaf shape with a groove on it and everything. And over there, they believe it was used for ceremonial and sacrificial purposes.
Wow.
The other cultures around the world did that. They did.
Right.
They did do that thing. It is set up on 4 legs too, Larry.
Again, this is before Native Americans, or?
Well, Native Americans probably go back about 12,000 years in New England. And in New Hampshire, there's a site up in Jefferson that goes back between 10 and 12. It's Paleo time period.
Yeah.
The old Stone Age, I guess, or the Stone Age. And that's up in the White Mountains, and that's pretty far back in time, not long after the glacial period. But Native Americans have been around for a long time.
Right.
But who are the builders of this site and some other sites in the Northeast, we don't know. But we know that ancient cultures like the Phoenicians, Celts had sacrifices. It's recorded in history. This certainly could be used for that,
Right.
whether it was or not. I don't know if technology in the future will be able to find some trace on here of some sort of like blood if it was for that purpose or not.
Right.
But if it was a lye stone for making soap, usually you're about this big, about that thick, and I could pick it up by myself, or both of us could pick up a lye stone. And this thing's about 9,000 pounds. And it's sitting on legs, and when Goodwin came
Yes,
along,
right.
this area catches a lot of stuff, so it was up to about here with earth
Yeah.
and debris and rubble, and part of the wall behind you had collapsed. He thought it was sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
And when they dug down, they found the legs, they found the little cutout there, and they also found the oracle tube, or speaking tube. It had 2 plugs of stone concealing it. They actually, whoever was here, had it concealed, and it was kind of hidden.
Sneaky.
It was kind of sneaky, yeah. It was almost like they did it intentionally in case somebody came down here and looked.
Yeah,
They'd
right.
see just the wall there. Well, they found one end, a loose rock, and then they looked, there's a hole in the wall. They went to the other side and they pulled, but unfortunately they didn't save those 2 plugs. We don't know where those 2 plugs are
No,
today.
yeah.
But the oracle chamber is behind here, and people standing up above like our viewers today will look down, they see the table, they see an earthen mound. Remember, that was roofed over there. It looks like part of the ridge that actually continues out that way. It doesn't really look like a chamber, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so during a ceremony, and there may have been some wooden structures here too, we just don't know. People have always talked about some sort of super, like a superstructure on top of this.
Right,
It's
right,
possible.
right.
There are other sites, Larry, in New
Okay.
England, as we mentioned, and
All
now
right.
there's a site about, I think it's 75 miles from here. It's in Mineral Mountain in Shutesbury, Mass. And there's some chambers there, like kind of like our structures. And a farmer years ago raised a stone. It was laying flat, and as he turned it over, there was a raised carving, like they call an anaglyph.
Wow. Yeah.
And on it is a person. It looks like the same shape as this table, the bell shape, kind of a bell shape, and a person laying on their back here. And by their front, it doesn't show the groove here though. It shows the outline of the table with a person laying on it. And right here, they got a ring, like the lip of a vase. And I'm wondering if maybe somebody saw this, was inspired, or they were scared by this thing, and they down there they made a carving of it.
Oh.
It's almost like that thing belongs up here, you know, but it's down there next to the stone chambers, you know. If it was found here, it'd be like, okay, somebody sat here and actually drew a picture in stone of the whole thing, you
Right.
know. Well, New England Antiquities Research Association, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary coming up next year, has it for a logo. They actually had the carving, that anaglyph, that raised carving for their logo of their organization.
Now, the last time we were here, you showed me some etchings or whatever on rock, on stone. Is that in this vicinity, or?
There are 2 carvings still up here in the oracle chamber. There's a deer carving near the exit, and on the ceiling there's an arrow carving. But there are other carvings we can show you in the building. Barry Fell from Harvard identified them, whether he's correct or not, as Phoenician, Libyan, and Celtic markings that have been found on this site. And they've been found on sites in Vermont, all over New England, up in Canada, and down as far as south as Brazil.